I'm stuck. I'm stuck financially. I have nothing. Christine had the house. I have nothing, and I can't do anything. I'm stuck. I can't believe I got myself into this position. How come that I know better? It started with a whisper, and now it's exploding into a full-blown scandal, according to what fans are piecing together. Over $500,000 may have quietly passed through a family-linked PayPal account, only to land squarely in Robyn Brown's hands. That number, 500,000, has been floating around the Sister Wives fan base like a ticking time bomb, and the source allegedly tied to pulled Brown family earnings that Janelle helped build over nearly 3 decades. The biggest twist, Janelle reportedly never agreed to it. I never felt like I had much control over my own money because everybody was pulling from the same, which is great we did that. We set our family up that way. But like towards the end, it was just really hard according to online SLE and insiders close to the family. The transaction may have occurred during the later Flagstaff years, when Kody was still technically spiritually tied to all 4 wives, but functionally living a monogamous life with Robyn. The PayPal account in question, said to be linked to a shared LLC or family trust account that multiple wives had contributed to, and yet without legal marriage or defined ownership rights. Janelle's cut may have simply vanished when the rumors first surfaced. Fans were stunned but not surprised because the timing aligned all too perfectly with Robyn's sudden real estate windfall, the purchase of a $1.65 million house in Arizona that Janelle has since described as never really meant to be hers alone. When we all first started, there was kind of like this thing we weighed in on: what bills should be paid, how we were going to pay, who got priority. And then the last several years, Kody would just take out funds, and I don't know what for, and the money was just being spent. And lots of it, that home became symbolic of secrecy, of betrayal, and of Kody's shifting priorities. But now viewers think it might also be literal proof of financial misdirection. And the kicker, Robyn reportedly rejected the idea of putting anyone else's name on the mortgage, something Janelle wanted explicitly to protect her stake. But by then, it may have already been too late. What began as a shared dream of sisterhood has now crumbled into murmurs of embezzlement, estate theft, and hush money accusations. Janelle hasn't named names, but her tone in recent interviews is unmistakable. As she put it, "I'd like to recoup some of the money I put into Robyn's house." And that might have just been the first shot fired, because if what fans are alleging is even partially true, this wasn't just an innocent accounting oversight. It was a deliberate cover-up, and it's what Janelle supposedly did next that could rip the entire story wide open. I was a father to 18 and a husband to more than just Janelle for years. Janelle Brown held it together. She played the quiet strategist, the financial planner, the wife who didn't need flowers or fairy tales, just consistency and respect. But behind the scenes, insiders say she was slowly unraveling, and it wasn't one moment that pushed her out of Kody's orbit. It was all the moments the holidays skipped, the birthdays forgotten, the way her children, once the heartbeat of the Brown family, were reduced to afterthoughts. When fans ask why Janelle waited nearly 30 years to leave, her answer is heartbreakingly simple: because I thought he was worth it. But by the end, even that belief had crumbled. It wasn't just about love anymore, it was about legacy. And whether she was going to let Kody and Robyn write the final chapter of her story without a fight, the cracks deepened after the move to Flagstaff. Kody stopped showing up, literally. Janelle later admitted she had to remind him to visit her house, while he practically lived full-time at Robyn's. She remembers telling him, "You can rest here just as easily as you rest there." But the silence spoke volumes. The man she had raised 6 children with had already left. He just hadn't said it out loud. The emotional absence, the financial evasiveness, the mounting tension between Kody and their children. It all added up, and then came the final insult. When Janelle asked about building on the Coyote Pass property, their collective investment, Kody brushed her off. It took a lot of work for us to figure out how to navigate it. That land had once been their future. Now it was a bargaining chip he didn't even want to discuss. It was around that same time she started noticing what was appearing at Robyn's house. New art, a perfectly landscaped backyard, custom furnishings, upgrades that didn't match the so-called family debt Kody kept talking about, as Janelle put it. I see all these things and that's fine. I've spent money too. But when you say we can't pay off the property and then I see this, something's not adding up. The moment the illusion shattered, she didn't cry, she calculated, and that's when the financial paper trail allegedly started to come into focus. And what Janelle discovered, it didn't just shock her, it may have forced her to take legal steps against the man she once called her partner. In the beginning, it was all for one and one for all. That was the deal when the Brown family pulled their resources. It wasn't just about money, it was about trust. Each wife contributed what she could. Some brought paychecks, others brought childcare together. They built a complex but functioning financial system, a pot where love and labor were supposed to be equally valued. And for a while it worked. The family operated like a small business. Income came in, bills got paid, kids were fed, and dreams like Coyote Pass were possible. Will tell me how I'm manipulating. Oh, no, 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 tell the whole world. Tell the world, and then go hang out with your buddy Christine. But over time, that unity began to erode slowly. Then, suddenly, and Janelle saw it before anyone else did, because while the others were still hoping for harmony, she was tracking numbers, and those numbers told a very different story. Janelle has since said that around 10 years ago, the spirit of the financial agreement started to shift. No more pooling, no more shared strategy. It became a free-for-all where each wife was expected to fend for herself, except somehow Robyn. When Robyn needed a house, the collective we stepped up, they all pitched in. Janelle didn't protest at the time because back then, she still believed Robyn was part of the sisterhood. But when she later asked that the other wives be added to the mortgage, the answer was a firm no. We need to protect Robyn's estate. Kody reportedly said that moment more than any, made it crystal clear. The money wasn't family money anymore. It was being funneled allegedly into a future that only included Robyn. And while Kody played coy about the family's ability to pay off the Coyote Pass land, claiming mystery debts and vague financial obligations, he was meanwhile buying cars, outfitting a full fleet, and reportedly investing in trailers. Janelle started to question everything. If money was so tight, why did Robyn's home look like a showroom? Why were her backyard and interiors fully upgraded while the rest of the wives were left waiting for scraps? I might not have been right, but I was angry as hell. I haven't talked to her since. I don't know when I'm going to talk to her. One insider said Janelle even confronted Kody about the imbalance, and his response, "Not denial, just avoidance. I don't owe you details." He allegedly snapped because you'll just take it to the gossip mill, but the real gossip didn't start until Janelle began digging, and what she uncovered next pointed straight to a private transaction, one that would allegedly never be disclosed if she hadn't pressed. So where did the rumored $500,000 transfer actually come from? That's the million-dollar question. Literally, fans have theories. Some point to TLC checks from earlier seasons that were allegedly deposited into a shared family account. Others whisper about private donation channels, Patreon-style fan contributions that may have started during when the Browns leaned into personal online content. Still others claim the funds came from speaking engagements, book sales, or royalties, all assets. Janelle helped generate but never saw her share of the one common thread. No one seems to know exactly where that money went, except Robyn and possibly Kody. But Janelle, she was apparently left in the dark until the Decker started changing. That's when everything clicked, according to one insider. It was a casual visit to Robyn's home that lit the match. New landscaping, designer wall art, a freshly renovated kitchen, backsplash. None of it screamed budget conscious, and yet Kody had been telling Janelle for months that there wasn't enough to go around, enough for what exactly that was. The moment Janelle began mentally calculating what she'd put in over the years, not just emotionally but financially, I feel like he's just looking for ways to get rid of me. I don't know her kids had sacrificed too. They were raised in smaller homes, often with less. She'd stretched her paycheck, given up upgrades, and accepted that Coyote Pass would be their long-term prize. But now she was starting to wonder if that dream had been sold off piece by piece to fund Robyn's comforts. That's when the PayPal rumors started circulating online. A fan account alleged that someone close to the family had seen transfers in the 6F-figure range, linked to an LLC Kody managed and tied to Robyn's estate. There's no public confirmation, but the timeline lines up almost too well. Right around the time Robyn purchased the $1 million home with none of the other wives on the deed. Janelle didn't say the word fraud out loud. She didn't have to. What she did say on camera was, "I'd like to recoup some of the money I put into Robyn's house. Not our house, not the family's Robyn's." And if insiders are right, Janelle wasn't just angry. She was devastated because what she saw next on paper reportedly proved her worst fear. This wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. Janelle may have been the first to notice the cracks, but she wasn't the only one who started asking questions behind the scenes. Christine was watching too, and not just as a friend, as fans know. The bond between Christine and Janelle has only grown stronger since their separations from Kody. What started as shared frustration slowly evolved into what some insiders now believe is a coordinated effort to uncover the truth. He's just not a fair person. He's very greedy when it comes down to money. According to one crew member who worked during the latest reunion tapings, Christine and Janelle were always talking in corners, comparing notes about the family money and whispering about past events that suddenly didn't make sense. One phrase allegedly kept popping up: "Follow the paper trail." The speculation got louder after a confessional where Christine hinted at certain things being hidden from the other wives. She didn't name Robyn, but she didn't have to. Fans immediately started connecting the dots between her vague references and Janelle's sharper accusations. It was Christine, after all, who first brought up how uneven things had become in the family. She'd noticed how often Robyn had Kody at her house, how much more Robyn's kids seemed to get. And when Janelle finally voiced her suspicions about where the money had gone, Christine's reaction was telling. She wasn't shocked. She looked validated. There are also whispers that Christine may have seen an early version of the financial documents. Janelle is quietly reviewing allegedly during filming breaks. Christine mentioned that certain family accounts were not being reported to all the wives equally, and now with the benefit of distance and legal advisors, Christine and Janelle seemed more determined than ever to get clarity. One source close to production said the two women were overheard asking a producer whether any of the show's residuals were being sent to a separate holding account, possibly linked to Kody and Robyn. It wasn't idle curiosity. They're trying to trace a trail that Kody may have assumed would stay hidden. And here's the twist. Robyn, according to insiders, may have sensed the alliance forming because when Christine tried to reach out recently about an unofficial family meeting, Robyn reportedly refused to attend. Her reason: "I'm not walking into an ambush." What she doesn't seem to realize is that Janelle's next move might not require any confrontation at all. Just one phone call to a lawyer. To hear Robyn tell it, the story looks very different. Everyone think you're in charge of the finances? I mean, everyone. Yeah, no, this is something I begun to realize. 'Cause Kody was always telling everybody that I was somehow calling the shots on the money. She's always painted herself as the careful one, the mom who learned budgeting the hard way, the wife who followed every rule, the woman who didn't ask for special treatment, but somehow got blamed for it anyway. In her own words, she's very frugal. She claims that after her first marriage ended, she had no choice but to become hyper disciplined with money. And sure, she admits to the big house and the renovations, but insists they were family investments. This was supposed to be for all of us, she said, the implication being this wasn't about selfishness, it was about stability. But as Janelle's revelations keep coming, even Robyn's best defenses are starting to fray. Because here's the problem for someone claiming to be transparent. Robyn has shut down nearly every conversation about finances. When Janelle floated the idea of putting all the wives on the mortgage for Robyn's Arizona home, she didn't just say no, she reportedly became visibly uncomfortable. According to a crew member present during the shoot, Kody jumped in to defend her, claiming it was about protecting her estate, but the optics were brutal after years of saying they were one big family. Suddenly, Robyn was off limits. Even her past support of the pooled income model started to look like a temporary performance. Now that she and Kody were effectively monogamous, the shared pot had magically dried up. What makes things worse is how often Robyn talks about being left behind in confessional. After confessional, she tears up over Christine and Janelle moving on, over the kids pulling away over the tension in the air, and while some fans still sympathize, many others are starting to wonder, is that sadness real or is it strategic, as one fan put it? Robyn always cries right before the blame shifts. Even her daughters, who once were viewed as bridges between households, have started expressing resentment, saying they never felt accepted by the other wives. But Christine and Janelle have pushed back, saying their doors were always open. So who's rewriting history at this point? Robyn's biggest fear might not be losing the family, it's losing control of the story. Because if Janelle's suspicions prove true, and if more financial records surface, Robyn could be facing not just judgment, but accountability. But she's like, there were death. I saw where all the money was going, and how much money Kody took and how much money Robyn took was a lot more than you were taking, and the person who may have unintentionally handed Janelle that power, Kody himself, for all his bravado and self-pity. Kody Brown has a fatal flaw. He talks too much. He vents. He spirals. He overshares. And according to insiders, that's exactly how Janelle may have caught wind of the alleged PayPal transfers in the first place, not from a spreadsheet, not from a lawyer, but from Kody's own loose tongue. The moment supposedly happened during one of their final serious sit-downs about the Coyote Pass property. Janelle was trying to get a clear answer. Where was the money? Why hadn't the land been paid off? And that's when Kody let something slip. He mentioned needing to settle up with Robyn's household because of previous family support transfers. At first, it sounded like more vague spin, but Janelle reportedly froze that phrase. Family support transfers wasn't one he'd ever used before, and the way he said it, defensive, like he was already justifying something she hadn't accused him of yet later. When she replayed the conversation in her mind, it hit her like a punch. If there had been a financial move, something big, something sneaky, that phrase might have been his way of cloaking it in legitimacy. It wasn't payment, it was support. It wasn't theft, it was family business. But that's where the semantics started to crack, because as far as Janelle was concerned, she was still part of that family. And if Robyn had received a six-figure sum behind everyone else's back, that wasn't support, that was siphoning. What really stung was the realization that Kody may have never intended to tell her at all that slip-up. It wasn't an act of transparency, it was a mistake. And once he realized it, insiders say he immediately changed the subject. Something Janelle clocked instantly in later episodes. Her tone shifts. She's no longer trying to rebuild. She's calculating strategic when she tells Christine, I think I'm going to have to lawyer up. It doesn't sound impulsive. It sounds like a woman who already has the receipts. And Kody, he starts getting key when asked about financial details in his own confessionals. He says things like, I'm not disclosing that anymore. I'm done with information leaks. What he calls leaks, others might call accountability. But the more he clammed up, the more Janelle dug in. And now some fans believe she's not just planning to confront him, she may be preparing to sue him. We didn't know. We never knew what the other wives were getting money wise. We just understood what we had, but Janelle saw it all. And Janelle doesn't say much, and she's very tight-lipped for years. Janelle Brown played by the rules of plural marriage, no legal marriage, no formal divorce, no binding claims. But now she's rewriting her role entirely. In one of the season's most talked about moments, she looked Christine square in the eye and said, "I think I'm going to have to lawyer up." And that wasn't empty drama. It was the start of a very real shift, because while she may not have a marriage certificate to prove her relationship with Kody, Janelle absolutely has something else. A long documented history of shared assets, verbal agreements, and financial contributions that helped build the Brown empire from the ground up. And if even a portion of the PayPal rumors turn out to be true, she may have a legal case, at least in civil court, for restitution. Janelle knows it's complicated. There's no joint account to split, no prenup to cite, but that's why she's reportedly been consulting with financial advisors and legal experts off camera. According to one production insider, Janelle asked TLC directly whether her on-air comments about family money and paying into Robyn's house could be subpoenaed or used in a future case. Her concern wasn't about getting in trouble, it was about making her claims airtight. Because what's been passed off for years as spiritual sisterhood is starting to look a lot more like informal business dealings. And if Kody and Robyn turn that trust into their